Yo, 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 yo. Whenever I see Bud's name, I always think it's blood. I think because it's like BLUD. Audio should be good. I tested it. What's up, Karen? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Quite the roller coaster over the past week, huh? Guess it's 2 o'clock. Just gotta make sure. I was doing a bunch of money transfers. Make sure I don't have anything showing here. Don't want to dox my bank account number. Okay, we should be good. Should be good. If I suddenly close the stream, it's because I'm realizing I've doxed my social security number. So, we'll talk about BTC, but I figured I'd start with just going through all the weekly charts just to see what happened. The most important thing here is if you are not a low time frame trader, don't feel bad if you didn't trade this. If you're a lazy person like me and just like the trend stuff, don't like the range stuff, just buying the dips, I think that's what most people do. You're either in this camp or you're like frenetically trading every 30-minute candle. And the other end of the spectrum is just like, it goes down, I buy. It goes up a lot, I sell some. That's just kind of where we are. Then there's the community members talking about Zeke. I'm kidding, Coinscaping Zulu, but yes, some coins have done okay. What are you going to say? We are good, Sergio. The question everyone always asks is this the top? Is this the end of the cycle? Is it all over? I don't think it's over. I didn't think it was over when we were at 50. It's great to see the wick. It's great to see a bunch of people get carried out. The carry trades getting unwound. It may or may not be done based on price action. It looks to be done. This could be Sailor buying here. Potentially, he's wanted to raise $2 billion to buy BTC. I always hope it's not Sailor. Always. Because we know he's coming into the market every once in a while and buying. I just hope this isn't him. We need to do well without one guy coming in with his credit card. Okay? So I just hope it isn't him. I hope we don't find out next week MSTR purchased 2,000 more BTC or something. I just hope it's not him. I don't think it's just him because Legacy is also up today. A lot. So it's kind of where I'm at with BTC. But we look good on the weekly, undeniably. We can draw out a bunch of stuff. I just don't think any of that matters per se right now. Let me find a chart I can draw on. We were talking about exit stuff for the cycle. Something else to watch, we're jumping all over the place, but something else to watch is total 2 greater than BTC market cap. If total 2 is greater than the Bitcoin market cap, that is usually the top. The top. Alts get rotated into after the Bitcoin top. Blue is total 2 here. And if total 2 is above BTC, then that usually means we are max froth and it is soon to collapse. So what we don't want in the cycle is alts as a group greater than BTC. With the ETFs, with everything else, it makes even more sense to me here that going forward, if we ever see total 2 above BTC, it'll happen eventually. Probably 2025, Q2 or Q4, but if it does happen, you got to be real careful because that is max froth. Max froth. Regardless of who's in the market. 2017, it was the same. FTX, SPF, 2021, 2022, it was the same. So you got to be careful. Anyway, just a little side trip to that. BTC. I'm trying to find the... no, that's not it. Let's find this real quick. Hold on. This thing. I talked about it in the video. You know, you can always long the range low, sell the range high, long the range low, and put a stop loss at new lower lows. That's always on the table as an option. It's just a matter of if that's your trading style or not, if it makes sense, if you can eat the stop loss relative to the liquidation. I did some calculations 2 days ago, and with 5x leverage, with price where it was at the time, you could have had a stop loss higher than a liquidation level. So yeah, in hindsight, that trade looks great, but there are timelines where that doesn't work out. You know, there are timelines where that doesn't work out, but that's always an option. So far it's worked out. So far it's worked out. I even looked into this wedge thing that we have. The literature, if you want to call it that, said to buy the third bounce. So the first question is, okay, how many times what is this, right? This is like the 5th time down here. Maybe you just call this 1, 2, 3. You call this 1, 2, 3. Okay. I think that's generous, but we could maybe do that. I would just much rather get bullish like here. Roughly the middle of the range. It's always tough for me to get bullish at the bottom as a leverage trade. I bought BITE, what was it? BITU. I bought BitB. Great, cool, awesome, but I'm not taking massive leverage trades down there. There's just no chance. So I get more bullish if we cross the midpoint. The cloud actually likes this at 63, it likes it at 60 in September. This whole thing is such a mess. It is very difficult to be confident on anything. I mean, look how messy the bottom was, right? Look how many times we've tapped the top. So yeah, just like I was bullish at 65, I'll be bullish at 63. I'll be bullish at 60. I'll be bullish till I'm blue in the face at 68. That's just my style. That's not for everybody, but that's my style. I feel I make more money trading the trend than trading a range or trading low time frames. So if that's not for you, then you know, you're going to have a different viewpoint. You're going to have a different bias at 68. So just keep that in mind. But like what is this? We've had, it was a 30% down move in a week, followed by a 20% move off the bottom. That's like a car crash with a plane crash. It's just a lot of trauma in price. Maybe we have this in our future. If we want like max chop some more, this is what we get. We get some sort of, I don't know, inverted head and shoulders. I don't even know what to call it. Because you just know when we start trickling above 68 or 69 or 70 or 71 or 72, people hopefully are going to come in and start shorting that, and hopefully they are wrong for the 10th time or whatever, the 10th attempt. That helps us go higher. But trend-wise, this is nothing. All right, back to the weekly. back to the weekly. Cloud, we tapped the weekly Kijun on BTC. This candle is a massive dragonfly. This might be the biggest dragonfly as a percentage. We had some nasty dragonflies back here. Dragonfly is just a candle with a longer wick than the body. Very tiny body. Good. Huge wick. Massive wick. The biggest wick you've ever seen. 15% wick. So as a candlestick, and we just had one of these actually. We just had one back here. Next week we had one over here too. Next week what you want to see is a close above this week's close. So we don't have this week's close yet. But next week, a close above this week's close should be very bullish. And look no further than back here. This was when the ETFs got launched. We had indecision, doji, spinning top into dragonfly, into inverted hammer. Would love to see that, but it's way too early to say the bottom is in, boys and girls. This is it. This is it. I mean, yeah, it looks like it. We had a proper flush. Anybody who's long got flushed out. I'm optimistic. We'll put it like that. It's always great to see price get bought up after a huge down move. The other thing is the supply unlocks. We had Germany, we had GOX, we had the US government, we had the miners. What else is left? There's always more government selling. They have like 13 billion in BTC. There's always more somewhere. But as a percentage of what we've already seen, I gotta think most of it is behind us. And I also, as a psychological sentiment thing, gotta think, hey, if you're one of these GOX people and you hadn't sold and you're watching price go from 70 to 50, I'm guessing those people are a little panicked. I'm guessing, unless they are just like iron hands, not selling, not caring, right? We had another dragonfly back here. This was the SVB candle. So I'd encourage people to look around for these types of candles and see how prices reacted. Here's another one here. Price went lower despite a higher close. They're not 100% hit rate, but they're usually pretty rare, usually pretty good at identifying a decent place for a bounce. Just because, again, think about it. You had everybody sell. Who's left? Anybody who sold anywhere near the bottom is underwater big time. And now we have this short squeeze on the way up. What matters, based on positioning, again, is next week. Do people outside of the short squeeze, outside of people who are taking profit on whatever happened so far, do we get more people coming in next week buying? So I'm very curious what the flows are going to be today, but more importantly, very curious what the ETF flows are going to be next week. So, per usual, you just want to give me one more candle. Give me one more candle, because the trend just isn't there. We still have this broad like cup and handle thing intact on BTC. It looks okay. It looks okay. Now, if we would have closed at 50 and we would have still been down on the week, it's a completely different story. That's like a 2022 situation where it's like, okay, pack it up, guys. It's over. See you in 4 years. But so far, the unwind of the global scare is limited. So we look good. That's BTC. And you can go down the list. Some of these look worse than others. An example being ETH. It bounced great. It's got an ETF. Cool. Those flows are still negative on a net basis. This chart is rough. It's rough. It's less bullish than BTC, just based on this week. I mean, what else can we say? It was flat on the year. It was underperforming the S&P. It's tough because I'm speaking to people who either don't care or to the complete ETH maxis who that's all they want to see is ETH go up. I haven't been holding a bunch of ETH, so I could care less what happens here. But this is not enough for me to say, man, what a great trade. No, nobody cares. Nobody cares. BNB, also a decent candlestick there. This week is great. This week is amazing. But next week is the important week to confirm this week's candle. So the first thing you need is this candle. Okay, great. We'll see how we close on Sunday. But next week, do we get buyers continuing to come in? So BNB to me looks better than ETH. Sol, you'd have no idea anything happened. Sol looks fine. Back in the middle of the range. Looks like a cup and handle again if you want to make some grotesque cup with a beginner, if you're like a beginner ceramics class and your cup is a little wonky, this is what it would look like. Sol is clearly stronger than ETH. Okay, this isn't a statement on the network. I think they're both junk, but Sol is stronger than ETH in price. And that's it. That's all there is. Okay, that's all I really care about. So Sol is the winner so far based on what's happened. That may change. That isn't a forever thing. Sol could very easily have some centralized attack and it's over. It's over. It goes to zero. And that is a legitimate concern, as was the concern for BNB, because both of these networks are extremely centralized. Both in the network and the coins held by who, okay? And you can look into this for Sol easily. You can look into this for BNB. So this isn't some like FUD thing. But the thing is, nobody cares. Nor should they if they're just gambling on chain and want cheap fees. What do they care? Sol clearly has the cheapest fees relative to the group. That's it. Full stop. Nobody cares about anything else. You can talk about staking. You can talk about DeFi, RWA. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. People prefer Sol. And you're seeing that in the chart. That's it. Does that mean if you're an ETH maxi, you should sell all your ETH and buy Sol? I didn't say that. I'm just telling you. Sol clearly the winner here. Weekly chart looks great. Despite what happened over this past week, you'd never know what's going on here. So it looks fine. Link. This is where the rest of the alts start to look more like ETH and less like Sol. Yeah, it bounced. It's got a dragonfly. Is this for me? No, it's not. AVAX, same thing. I don't care about picking the low. I don't care about the bounce. I care about the breakout. That's what I care about. So that's what I want to make sure I'm there for if I'm trading alts. And the best way to see that is going to be Total 2 versus BTC. This will tell you, people always ask me, oh my God, I'm going to miss the alt season. Josh, what should I do? Just follow this chart and do nothing until this gets stronger. It's not going to lie to you. You're not going to miss it, okay? Inevitably, somebody's going to tell me that their alt for 1 week outperformed BTC. Cool. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about multiple years, multiple months. Very clearly in 2021, BTC underperformed the alt basket. We can also look at Total 2 on the cloud. Total 2 is doing what AVAX is doing, what Link is doing, really what ETH is doing. It's bouncing. It hit the target. It hit the measured move. Trend is still very bearish. So I could care less. Let this go back to $1 trillion on market cap. Great, awesome, cool. I'm not here for the bounce. I'm here for the trend. I'm here for the trend higher. So until I see that, I just don't care about alts. I just don't. So that largely is what you're seeing in AVAX. Could this be a falling wedge? Sure. Could this be a great dragonfly into next week? Sure. But like, what's the upside here? What's the upside? I don't know. 30s? The upside from 8 to 60, right? That's what you really want to not miss. Missing something from 20 to 30, for me, I just don't really care. I just don't really care. I think it's just too risky. Matic, a lot of these look worse than everything we just talked about. It's, yeah, it bounced, cool, but the theme of being dead for a long time just isn't just magically over. LTC is another one. Huge support down here. Huge. Where is it? Okay. Like, we're below that. This could be the low. This could bounce here. Great. Awesome. I don't really care. It doesn't matter. The trend hasn't been there. It just hasn't. So why? Why bother? Why are you sitting in this for years, months? It just doesn't make sense. Dot also hit the low, massive wick. Cool. What do you want to do? Are you really going to hold this? Like, if you want to trade an alt, just trade Sol. Let's just be honest here. If you want to trade an alt that isn't Sol, you have to look at it against Sol, because then it becomes obvious. What's the point of trading DOT? What's the point? If I want risk in alts, just trade Sol. It's that simple. If you want risk in alts, why are we trading Link? Look at the Link Sol chart. Like, we can go on and on and on and on. If Sol is beating ETH, it's going to be beating most everything. Does that mean that'll happen forever? No. But this chart doesn't look bearish to me. It's at all-time highs. It's at all-time highs. So if you're trading alts, measure it against BTC at the very least. And if you're not doing that, measure it against the strongest alt, which currently is Sol. I don't love it, but that's the reality. That's the reality. What are we going to do? All right, let me catch up on chat. Yield curve uninversion. Yeah, that's the other issue on the macro side. We'll get to that. All this is awesome and feels great, but we still potentially have recession stuff to deal with. Keep adjusting my hat because it doesn't really fit well. This is from the Venek people. Anyway. Yeah, we still got a potential recession. We're still in a seasonality period that's just not great. Historically, August, September. Just got to give it time. What serves Wall Street if it is to trap the money? What serves Wall Street with BTC is to trap all the money in BTC by a price crash. I mean, sure. we can draw some conspiracy theories on that. Poor guy's buying ETH instead of Sol. It's the sad but funny thing. If you would have told me Sol doesn't have an ETF and is still outperforming ETH, I mean, we knew the ETH stuff was going to get unlocked, okay. But man, that's rough. That's rough. Yeah, ETH BTC, we can talk about that. Anybody who tells you this is bullish is just delusional, okay? Delusional. Do you know how many weeks, how many years I've heard people saying ETH BTC is bullish? This is the bottom. Literally every low, this is the bottom, this is the bottom. Why? Like, what are we doing here? You know? Like, if you want to make some statement about the network and belief in DeFi, and okay, that's fine, but that's completely different than price. Price is clearly telling you that this is continuously headed lower. Continuously. Another thing with this one is people think, oh man, I'm not going to know when to rotate. I better just keep buying. Yeah, you can DCA out of stuff into this, but this is clearly not bullish. Clearly. This is a pitchfork. So the next question obviously is, okay, when do we know? When do we know? When do I think I know? Okay, when do I think I know? Where is it? When do I think I know when price is ready to move higher? It's almost always going to be the cloud. the cloud plus the pitchfork, if we add, pick your favorite moving average. I don't know which moving average lines up here on the 3-day. It doesn't really matter. Pick a moving average, okay? Give yourself 3 data points to watch. So currently that's saying anything up here. Anything up here. This is where I get bullish, okay? Or at least I start to get bullish. I'm not going to get bullish here. I'm not going to get bullish in the bottom. The next place to get bullish is down here. All the way at the bottom. And that's like 033 or something. Could this be the low? Sure. But you could have said that at any point over the past, what, 48 months? What's the point? What's the point? What are we doing? You're losing money. You're down 50% against BTC in 2 years. It doesn't make sense. The other thing to watch, if we compare, if we look at EOS. EOS is a good example. Ripple's another example where it's like, okay, where's there a level we can watch? I'm trying to remember. Was this the pitchfork? This might have been the old, or was it this? Might have been this. There was some old pitchfork on EOS. It's something close to this. Similar to ETH BTC. When do you start to get bullish is when we start to break out of the bear channel. I mean, I say that, it sounds obvious, but some people just don't understand. Like, it's not going to magically pop, okay? That just doesn't happen. This took EOS over a year, and then after breaking out of the pitchfork, it took EOS another 6 to 12 months to get out of the flat period and break up. I mean, it didn't really matter over time. And we can find another channel. Is this the channel? Is that, I mean, it's like at the bottom of that channel. So at the very least, you need this stuff making higher highs instead of lower lows. I mean, it would be funny if this was the low for EOS. I think EOS is just dead, but I'm just bringing it up because it was another channel I was watching a long time ago that did it eventually break up. But if you want to get bullish on something, you know, that's not a terrible place. I'd rather get bullish at the stone cold low than something that's making lower lows. I think this is a terrible trade. I wouldn't touch this, but where are you at? Let's go to the weekly real quick. Is that an all-time low? Yeah, so EOS made an all-time low this week. Do you want to trade all-time lows? I don't. MSTR plus Sol equals sleep well. Yeah. I don't think this is a time to just like load up on everything across the board. It just doesn't make sense. We're not there yet. Solana is what EOS was supposed to be. That's fair. Yeah, BOJ. People were asking me in the Discord about bonds, about the BOJ. So the BOJ had this surprise hike. The rate differential changed between the United States and BOJ. Previously, people were borrowing at 0 and getting free money by participating in the carry trade. Okay, so the BOJ surprised with a rate hike. The rate differential gets jostled even a little bit, and people start to think, oh crap, I need to unwind to this. And then the yen, one side of the equation, which was depreciating, starts appreciating. And now you're losing on the rate differential and the value of the yen. because that's increasing. So it's a double whammy. Everything gets out of whack. Oh, by the way, this happens on a weekend, which is already low liquidity for US markets. So people freaking the freak out. Thanks, Mark, for the super. People are freaking the freak out on the weekend, low liquidity, and this is what we get, right? What can people sell on the weekend? They can sell what's open, which is crypto and yen futures, S&P futures. So what do we want, really? We want one thing, and it's disgusting. We want yen devaluation still. That means the unwind doesn't continue to unwind, assuming there's some left to unwind, which I'm sure there is. There is some left. There's got to be. It's just a question of how much. But it's no coincidence that the yen, USD JPY, has bottomed, as has crypto, as has tech, as has kind of everything. Pretty clear what the correlation is. So what we don't want to see is the rate differential shrink, which is almost saying like we don't want a rate cut in the US because the rate differential gets smaller. And that strengthens the yen. So very curious what Powell, if he's going to say anything about this in Jackson Hole on the 23rd this month. But this is all like the butterfly effect, you know? Like Jay Powell sneezes at the press conference and all of a sudden we're back at sub 50K on BTC. So if there's more to unwind in the carry trade and the rate differential shrinks, you should see the yen depreciate, and you should see that have this effect, this ripple effect on everything. So that's the next thing to watch for. As much as people want a cut, including me, like it's time to bring rates down. The market is 100% on a cut in September. It's just a matter of 50 or 25. I think they'll probably go 25. I think they need to go 50 based on being so behind the curve. We'll have another unemployment print before the meeting. I don't think it's before Jackson Hole though. Anyway, so yeah, this chart is very important. Maybe the most important chart, honestly. It does not, like nothing else really matters. This is what the world is focused on. So crypto has dragonflies all over it. So does UJ. Just as important for crypto, but next week for UJ. Is next week bullish or not for UJ? I think that was all the alts I wanted to talk about. I mean, all this stuff, like, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. It's all correlating. It's all basically total 2. Total 2 will tell you. Go watch the videos. We talked about this in October. Go watch the videos from October. We talked about this. It wasn't a surprise. We talked about this. I traded this. A lot of people I was talking to traded this. It's not like it's going to go run away without you. Is a 25% move from here a massive trade? Absolutely. Am I highly confident we're just going to bounce 25% across the board? I don't know. So that's where I'm at with alts. They just haven't done anything. This is Cardano. So if you're trading alts, I think you have to take a multi-month viewpoint. Let's say, for whatever reason, you're bullish Cardano. I know there's one guy in the chat who loves Cardano. Whatever, that's fine. That's a viewpoint. If you think that's the case, any penny lower is just a better buy, right? So just take your time. But none of these meme coins, Doge, still in the cloud. Look at this. Look at 2021. Look at 2017. The best moves on Doge are above the weekly cloud. Are we currently above the weekly cloud? We are not. There will be a day when we will get there, but we're not there yet. We are not there yet. So it's just not for me. I don't really care about this. You know, I traded this a little bit. I still have some Doge, but I don't really care what happens here. I care more what happens when we are above the weekly. SHIB, not really enough for the weekly. SHIB retraced the entire move. Pepe still holding up decently well with, what are you going to say? Looks okay. I don't know. Floki. None of this stuff here is bullish on trend. I think the only thing that's still bullish is probably Ton. Ton. All right, so it's out of the daily cloud. Last time I checked, it was starting to get in the daily cloud. Yeah, so it failed the ascending triangle measured move, but the last time I looked at it, it was here, and we know what that means. That usually means you try to touch the other edge of the cloud, and that's what it did. It had a move, and a great move from 2 to 8, and it mean reverted. So on trend, it's still neutral. But along with Sol, this is another one to watch. I don't love it. I think it's dumb, but it doesn't matter. The market doesn't care what I think, okay? The market doesn't care that I think Sol is garbage. Number go up, okay? Number go up. Cloud says this is a massive mess. Just neutral, there's nothing to do, but it's done better. Sol's done better than everything else, just flat out, right? Load up on either insanely new lows or on breakouts. Yeah, if you, on Saturday or Sunday, I put out a video on the Bitcoin miners, and I was talking about how all of them looked awful and they're going to open lower. They all look awful and opened lower. Okay, what are you going to do? I think as a business, fundamentally, they are in trouble here as a group. So I'm not expecting turbo mega strength, but if you believe in the thesis or whatever of the investment, if you liked it at 7, you're going to love it at 3, right? If you liked Cypher at 8, you're going to love it at 3.38. So if nothing has changed in your point of view with pick a coin, pick the AI narrative, like pick anything, you should get more excited on a weekend sale like that. Do they have the balls this side of the election? I think they do. I don't think they care about the election, honestly. Like, obviously, individually they care, but as the Fed, I don't think the Fed cares about the election, nor should they. Somebody asking me about a coin I've never heard of. Every week it's a new coin I've never heard of. It's amazing. It's amazing. We'll get to those. Anything else on the charts? On the first pass? I don't think so. MSTR split was today. Where's that at? It looks fine, you know? The issue for all this stuff up here that survived is like, okay, is this a head and shoulders breakdown in the making eventually? I don't know. I don't have a good answer, but it's not there. So until we're above 172, it's hard for me to get excited about adding here. The pitchfork says it's fine. Pitchfork says we hit a low, okay. Everything is just so indeterminate, range bound. It's very hard to get confident for me on anything. The other alts, these are like the moonshot bags. Filecoin. Hold on, I have a thing of this. Where is it? This one. It's like metaverse deep in, I don't know, it's all junk, right? Algo, it's all junk. But the reasons to even start buying any of this at any period is the confidence in alt season. Not, I think this is going to go up today. I think this is going to go up next month. I think this is going to go up 12 months from now. And I want to be buying at the lows, or have been holding since October or before October 2023. Just so I'm there. I want to start buying some of this stuff. And I hesitate to say this because people are going to take this the wrong way. They're going to start loading the boat on this junk. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about putting less than 10% of your stack in some really, really junky junk. The junkiest of the junk. At the very least, the chart has to look decent. These charts look okay. They've looked better. But what did we like about these charts? We liked the triple bottom potential. We liked the weekly cloud edge-to-edge potential. Okay, so there's that. But you buy this stuff so that when we see this on total 2, when we see total 2 overshoot BTC, that's when hopefully you make your 10x or whatever. But the issue with people, I think, is that they load the boat on this stuff. They hold it. I don't even think about this. I think about it when Maskey asks me about Filecoin every stream. Like, I don't think about it outside of that. Okay, I know it's a loser. I know it's probably going to go to 0, but in the event it doesn't, I'm here. I'm here to sell it. I don't know, whatever the measured move at least on all these are. Filecoin to 20, Mana to 220, right? Whatever the fibs tell you. AXS to 35. That's going to be interesting if that happens. I doubt it. Flow to 5. Sand to 250. Algo to 87. The moonshot target is the other edge of the cloud. Okay, that's like a 10x at least for most of these. Will that happen? I don't know. But you can't be in here with your $50 lunch money loading the boat on this stuff, hoping it turns around tomorrow. That's not what this is about at all. That's not what this is about. So if that's you, stop it. Cut it out. Stop that. This is not what that's about. I am extremely unconfident that these will turn around. But in the event that they do, I have some of them. Okay. Yeah, there he is. There's my Cardano boy. I mean, I make fun of people like Cardano boy. Tezos is another one. If you believe in Tezos and bakeries, that's fine. But if we look at the math tells you it's pretty obvious. It's been down only for years. They still have Kathleen Brightman on TV. I don't know why. She's always shit-talking BTC. Wake up. Look at your chart. What does this tell me? Yeah, let me get super hyper confident on Tezos. No. Sorry, Kathleen. All right. What else we got? Where do we want to go from here? Let's keep talking about BTC, I guess. A few other things. In the exit video I did this week, I talked about a lot of the look into Bitcoin Magazine Pro charts. You can get most of those for free on this Check On Chain. This is the guy who does Coin Glass? No. What is it called? Glassnode. Checkmate. He does a lot of the Glassnode analysis. He has all of this, like literally an infinite amount of stuff here. Okay. I'm going to just highlight a few things. We talked about this. We talk about this every stream. Bitcoin price since halving. We're underperforming the previous 2 halvings. We're underperforming all halvings here. Okay. We can acknowledge that. I don't really care where we're at here currently. We overperformed pre-halving. It makes sense that we are slowing down post-halving if we overperformed. Looking at performance since cycle low. We are matching the previous two cycles still. The previous two cycles did not take off in earnest until like day 650 from the low, and we're at like 625. So if by day 700 we are underperforming, then I'll be concerned. If by day 800 we are underperforming, I will be concerned. If at day 625 we look like the previous two cycles, I don't really care. So ideally, we start to see some action here. Q4. That's 2 months. That's 60 days. 60 days from today, we should know how bullish we are. We should know. Mayer multiple. I know a lot of people actually use this, and it's historically been really good. It looks at price relative to the 200-day moving average. And Checkmate has applied some bands to this, some levels to this that give you an oscillator, basically, buy zone, sell zone. And it highlights, I like any extra visual layers possible, so it's really good that he's done all this. And it's just highlighting buy zone, sell zone. Like stupid simple. Hey, we are X percentage above the 200-day moving average, right? Like that's all it's looking at. And it's been really good. Historically, you can look at this back to inception. He's got all this on the site here. It's been really good. It's been really good. We can trend in overbought. We can trend in oversold. If we go to recently, we tapped whatever level this is. This is the green is below the 200-day moving average, 0.8. Blue is the 200-day moving average. So we're currently below the 200-day moving average. Anyway, it's still saying historically we're closer to a buy zone. We aren't in like the 2022 period bear market where the whole thing was a buy zone, right? That's the downside of stuff like this. It's not going to give you the exact top. It's not going to give you the exact bottom. It's just going to tell you historically, based on the past, better sells, better buys. That's it. So I like where we're at there. Something to watch into the end of the year. Like a lot of people's target is like 150 by the end of the year. You know, what do these metrics look like at the end of the year? That's the question to come back to. Average ETF cost basis. This one's super interesting because as a group, it gives you an idea of overbought, oversold relative to the average price of the ETF. Participants, people in the ETF. I think what we are very likely to see if we get to 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350, whatever, we're going to hit a point on the multiple relative to the cost basis where we are just, there's too much unrealized profit. We see this on chain, but to have this specifically for the ETFs, because most of the market to some degree is going to be the ETFs, we will see a multiple here. We will see unrealized profits where after we hit certain levels, we will see outflows just continuously at that level, or we will see outflows because of rebalancing. We will see outflows quarterly at the year end because of rebalancing, because of unrealized profits. It's not necessarily going to be the top, but it's going to be one of the things that helps form a top. It's a good problem. It means we are six figures and beyond, okay? But it's something to watch past where we are now, you know, into the future. So currently, ETF buyers on average are underwater based on the cost basis. So not only are they underwater and we're not seeing additional outflows per se. We saw some leading into last week, but it looks like the ETFs may flip positive today on the flows, which is a good sign. It means people are here for the long haul. They're not just here for a quick buck or whatever. Yeah, we can talk about the SOM rule. For Mayer, you can also stay out till price gets into the blue zone. yeah, that's another thing to sort of flip it a little bit on any oscillator. You want to sell at the maximum, typically NFA. You want to buy at the bottom, right? But then during the trend, where's the mean reversion level? Where is the level where we are getting to oversold but not all the way oversold, right? So each of these levels kind of gives you some idea. Even looking at the multiple at 1.5, it kept going by quite a bit, but it eventually pulled back to the 200-day, right? This is the same with the 200-week. I talked about that in the video this week. The 200-week multiple or the 20-week multiple, it's all just mean reversion eventually. And there's some point, back to this idea of like unrealized profits, there's some point where we are going to be 2x, 3x, 4x the cost basis of the ETFs. And there's just going to be so much unrealized profit that eventually we just start to mean revert. The more we hit people's levels on the way up as a multiple, the higher the likelihood the mean reversion happens. And then as the mean reversion happens, people start to say, yeah, you know what, this does look pretty expensive up here. I need to harvest some of these gains. You see this on chain, you see this on exchanges, you see this everywhere. So mean reversion is super powerful. So to see us come all the way back to the mean, survive, not go to zero, that's great. Love it. Love it. MVRV is another one. The exact same concept. Where is the mean of market cap based on movements on chain? When the mean of the market cap is so much lower than current price, there's just so much unrealized profit, right? So that's what this is telling you. It's telling you to what multiple, to what degree are there unrealized profits in the ecosystem, and where have we seen previous tops? We've seen previous tops at whatever level this is on MVRV, 2, whatever it is on the Z-score, or whatever. So at each of these levels, you can say, all right, I want to sell some here. I will be a seller if MVRV gets anywhere near 6 or 3 on the Z-score or whatever. Because that's historically what we've seen. That's been the top. And this will probably align with everything else. It will probably align with being overbought relative to the 20-week, being overbought relative to the ETF cost basis. It'll be overbought relative to the Mayer multiple. All this stuff will probably be the same. So we're not there yet, but we look good. We came back. If we go back to recent history, realized price is still, it's basically the 200-day moving, 200-week moving average. So it's down quite a ways. And we've reset the froth based on the Z-score. So that's good to see. Good to see. Minor balances, and more interesting to watch when we're going down. The one thing about this website that you can't do is like change the axes zoom. I don't think. Anyway, but with Germany selling, we also had minor wallets selling a significant amount. Even into the post-Trump assassination attempt, we had miners selling into that. So something else to pay attention to towards 2025, do we still see significant miners selling? You know, is CleanSpark unwinding its treasury at 150K? Interesting. Let's pay attention to that, right? Like, it's never going to be one thing, but it's going to be this conglomerate of things going on that help form a top. Just like the current range. The current range was, first it was the MSTR, MSTR BTC pair trade, where MSTR was going higher and people had to sell their BTC to cover the short. Then it was miners selling. then it's Germany, then it's the US government, whatever, right? It's all of this stuff together that's just kept us here. Hash ribbons, another one. And I'm just mentioning these because I know they're behind a paywall on Bitcoin Magazine Pro, but all the data is here. It's free, like I said. As a signal, hash ribbons have been very good. I'm not going to go over that one again. Puel multiple, same thing. Miners, oscillator. Want to be a buyer at the lows, seller at the highs. Just where are we at in the cycle type deal. And we've reset all of that post-halving. We're currently in minor pain territory. Something interesting to take a look at would be to see how the miners do and the publicly traded miners, depending on where Puel multiple is, because this is looking at revenue today versus the past year. So it would be interesting to see like the sweet spot for the Puel multiple relative to the publicly traded miners. I assume you'd want a rising trend here. So as bearish as I am on the miners, maybe this is like the low if we bounce on Puel multiple. Let me take a look at the chat. Sorry if you answer this through streaming. That's what I'm looking at. No, this is the only alt chart you need. Period. End of story. This is it. If you don't like this, the alt chart, then you look at total 2. Those are the only 2 charts you should need. The third chart you need is what is the strongest alt? The strongest alt is not on page 250 of CoinMarketCap. Okay, the strongest alt is Sol. Quite unquestionably, that is the strongest alt. So measure everything against Sol. Is there a Sol dominance? Sol.d, there is. Look at that. Look at that. It's basically a Sol ETH chart. If you don't like Bitcoin dominance, but you like alts, you have to find the strongest alt. You have to. Especially in a period where if Bitcoin dominance is bullish, that's telling you alts are not the move, okay? Bitcoin dominance is making new highs today as we speak. This is already telling you alts are the losing move here. If you don't like that, okay, you have to find the strongest alt and measure the entire ecosystem against that alt, because that tells you, should I trade that alt or anything else as a group? So if you're underperforming Bitcoin and you're underperforming Solana, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? That's it. That's all there is. Bitcoin is less risk. Sol is more risk. If you're taking even more risk to underperform both of those, you're just not doing it right. You're just not doing it right. Someone's asking about some alt stuff. I guess we'll do alts and then legacy stuff. Theta. So if you have any alts, let me know. This is the time I brought it upon myself to look at Zig coin or whatever somebody asked me. Theta, weekly cloud. The trend is not there. There's nothing to say. This is why I use the cloud. It tells you where you should probably get in and where you should probably get out. And it told you should probably get out here. And at this point, if we rewind the clock, what are we looking for? Same thing we're always looking for. Bullish DK cross, price above cloud, bullish cloud. Have we had that at all? No, we haven't had all 3 of those things together. You had that here and here. Since then, you have not had an entry signal. And that is the case for almost every single alt you can think of. I guarantee you, none of these have looked good. since March. And shocker, that's when BTC topped. Shocker. There just hasn't been, like, look at this versus BTC. Look at this versus Sol. Sol has held the range. And I am not a Sol maxi. I'm not a Sol fanboy. But it's just math. It's just math. This is theta Sol. It's at an all-time low. It's at an all-time low. BQ we can. Zig, someone was asking. I don't even, is this the chart? Hey, at least they have the common decency to realize that I was going to give them crap for their altcoin. But still, this is better looking than almost everything. Almost everything. I have no idea what this is. Never heard of it. Looks like Sol. My guess is against Sol, this thing is sideways. Yeah. It's actually favors Zig coin. So maybe I should measure against Zig coin because Zig coin has done well. Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. You know, if you go against ETH, right? It's clearly outperforming ETH by a lot. It's up 1,000% on ETH since October. 1,000%. 1,000%. I'm not touching it, but it's just funny. If we look at this objectively, the answer is pretty clear. Arweave, like a render, had a really great setup that you get stopped out of the moment we go below the right shoulder. It's always the same. It's always the same. I got a lot of crap on Twitter because I had some tweet about we're above the cloud, get ready. And we, of course, didn't go anywhere on BTC. But the moment we close in the cloud, that's it. You're out. That's the stop loss. So not only on this one did you close below the right shoulder, you made a new lower low, but you're in the cloud. So at that point, you're not expecting a miracle. I'm not saying that just because it went down. I'm just saying that is the stop loss level. It's always the stop loss level. If you were bullish at 43, as I would have been on any chart that looks like this, you're out down here. Near is a trade I took. And guess what happened? Guess where I got bearish? Right here. Because we closed in the cloud. That was it. You have to have the courage to say, not that this is me being courageous, to say you were wrong and to move on, okay? That's it. It hasn't been bullish since it tried to be bullish, unshockingly, okay? So Arweave looks like everything else, not great, not great. On Near, just like on BTC, there's a really ugly wedge. I just hate wedges because you never know. You never know. Is 650 going to be the top this time, or is it going to be the breakout level, right? I don't know. What does the weekly cloud look like? We're still in the weekly cloud. It's just a mess. It's just a massive mess. STX. They mentioned, not to call out Daniel, but this is a common theme with the alt people. And I only know this, I only recognize this because I've been here for a long time. There's always a reason, right? It's like, oh, Ripple's got RippleNet. Ripple's got adoption by banks, or what's another one? LTC. It has ATMs. This was the narrative in 2014. LTC is going to have all these ATMs. It's the silver to Bitcoin. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Stacks has done well. If we go on the weekly, Stacks has done well. It did well. It's just here, there's not really anything redeeming about it. It's below the weekly cloud. It's below the daily cloud. It's clearly in a downtrend. It's clearly in some sort of downward channel. This isn't saying like the narrative is a failure. L2s can never be successful. This is just saying the price is clearly down. Has been since April. You also had, like you did on many alts, Link being another one, you had this like grotesque head and shoulders that eventually broke down. Could this bounce here? Absolutely, but the trend is not on your side. The trend is not on your side. What you don't want to miss is this, and nothing about this chart says we're there yet, regardless of the narrative. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Hold on, somebody was asking about, let me find it. 2 other coins I'd never heard of. Mark said I use the cloud to decide when I go to the bathroom. I just like it because you can pop it on anything and it tells you what's up, you know? Where was... There were these other 2... I'm going to find it. Hold on. 2 coins someone was asking about. This wasn't it, but... Oh, here it is. Okay. PCT was 1. Is this not? That's not an alt. Let me just write this down so I don't forget. PCT is a stonk. Also, with Harris doing better in the polls, I expect all the solar charts should look amazing. Shesmu, this one, Shesmu. Is this even a chart? I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? UNH is also a stonk, so we'll come back to that. I don't think that's a cryptocurrency. No. All right. Honey. Honey USD. Is this Golshi asking? Golshi, what are we doing? I'll give you this. Very clearly, just use the parallel line tool or the parallel channel tool. Very clearly this thing is not in its down channel anymore. So, okay, we have that on our side. Is it in the daily cloud yet? No. Is it above the daily cloud? No. If it isn't a major, or if we're not in alt season, expecting this edge to edge to work out is challenging. If we go to BTC on the weekly, when we were in the cloud here, we were talking about edge to edge stuff in August 2023. Did I expect the alts to also outperform first? No, I did not. BTC has to move first. So if BTC gets bullish in a bigger way, alts should start to move up 100%. But we're just not there yet. I said this, I think, on Sunday, but I think the next place, let me pull up a different chart. Kraken. The next place for alts to get bullish, the next place where I expect would be when BTC's in the 100K level, because up here, we probably start to see rotation out. We see this unrealized profit, this unrealized gain get closed out on BTC. That doesn't mean BTC goes down, but people have more money to spend on junk, so then they rotate into the junk. Until we get to that point, it's hard to just assume certain alts outperform, especially lower market cap alts. Why are 10 and 20-year treasuries and gold down? So if you know James Lavish on Twitter, a lot of the macro guys talk about this as well. They reach different conclusions. If they're not Bitcoin people, they tell you just buy gold. But the US is issuing a metric boatload of bonds. Over the past year, they've moved that mix, they being Yellen. Yellen has moved the mix of short-term versus long-term debt towards the front end. And eventually we're going to have to shift that to the long end. Ideally, rates come down so that we're not paying 5% for 30 years on something. But people just don't want that debt at the current yield. So I assume what you mean is yields are down, or yields are up today, right? If I can find it, TLT. Part of it is the issuance problem. Too much debt, not enough people to buy it. Part of it is the risk off versus risk on problem. Like if we're back to risk on, I don't need to go risk off into this stuff, into treasuries or whatever. The other maybe silent issues back to like this yen BOJ differential with rates. Is Powell really not going to raise or not going to cut in September? If we go back to this, what is it showing now? If Powell comes out in September and says everything's fine, even in August, if he says everything's fine, the economy's fine, we don't think it's a recession, like there's a whole bunch of weird backwards logic where that may be the best case, despite mainstream just getting obliterated with main street getting obliterated with rates. So there's no obvious move here where something like TLT does amazing if we're just issuing so much debt and there's not enough people buying it. I just like the chart. I still like the chart. This thing doesn't, it's a ocean liner. It's a 25 million ton ocean liner. It's not going to turn on a dime. It's going to take some time, but I still like the chart. Yeah, MC, I agree. I think we see a 25 basis point cut in September. It's just going to be funny. Back to these macro people, they're like, okay, every first cut we ever have is bearish for the stock market, which isn't true, but let's just assume it is. Because of the rate differential, again with the carry trade, if that rate differential shrinks, the yen strengthens and we have the unwind happen again. So the question in September, even in August, if we know with the forward guidance, does everything start collapsing in August again if there's more carry trade to unwind? It might. I don't know. Like, we just got to live through it and find out. Yeah, Josh, you answered your own question a little bit there. Risk off versus risk on. We've seemingly gone back to risk on, and you know that because tech is outperforming the S&P. Even the IWM is participating. Everything's up 2% today. Is it going to be down 5% tomorrow? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. But today, yeah, the VIX is way, way down and coming lower. All this is representative of, we saw the asteroid hit, but we're still here. We're still here. It was a smaller asteroid than we thought. It was a contained blast. just over Arizona, and the rest of the country's fine. This wasn't Krakatoa. This wasn't Yellowstone caldera explosion or whatever. We survived. The VIX, by the way, reached levels not seen since COVID. So things were a little out of whack there. With fear. People got a little too excited on that move. But part of this was the Friday drop going into the weekend getting worse, things not being open. And then on Monday, a bunch of these trading apps were down. Schwab was down, Vanguard was down, Fidelity was down. It's like, even if you wanted to panic buy, you couldn't, because you couldn't log in. All right. Any more alts? A moo. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's go to like the 6 hour or something. It looks okay. I don't know. It's maybe got like a V bottom thing going on here. It looked better when it was trending. It's not really trending anymore. Not for me. Popcat. Very similar. Looks like the same chart, honestly. It bounced. I don't know. This stuff really isn't for me. It had this at the top. Okay, cool. Broke down. It had this at the top over here. Broke down. I don't know. You want it above some high time frame cloud. It's not quite there yet. I assume people who bought sub 30 cents are selling at 60 cents. I assume. But what do I know? CASP. It's a few of you guys in Marathon trading CASPA. It doesn't look great. It's trying to hold some channel thing here. I don't know. I don't have a great read. It's not turbo bearish. Is it outperforming Solana? Not really. Not really. It did in 2022, but it's been ranging. I don't know. Like, it looks fine. I wouldn't do anything here if it were me. Chart's kind of ridiculous, honestly. I guess if you're holding from like 0, you're doing great. But if you're up here at 10 cents, I'd be kind of nervous, because I'd be worried about this like asymptotic, kind of like TIA. All roads lead to TIA. TIA was the same thing. People got super excited. They said they were going to get rich for free. Just get rich and stake, bro. You're going to get so many airdrops from TIA, bro. You're going to be rich forever, bro. But it's kind of the same deal. You get this parabolic rise, it levels off, and then people just don't care about it anymore. CASPA admittedly has been going on longer than TIA, but if we just look at TIA, this is a huge downward channel. Not expecting a miracle here on TIA. And a lot of this is just VC unlocks and inflation. They just can't survive. If we measure it against Solana, It's obvious. The party's been over for a long time. A long time. I don't know. It's just math, you know? It's just math. That's it. I think what people need to do is have like their narrative bags. Like, I like RWA, so I'm gonna buy Ondo, or I like DeFi, so I'm gonna buy Maker, and I don't know what people buy, Uni. Like, these are my narrative bags. I believe in the narrative. And then you need your math bags. You need your realist. This is my make money bag. Okay, because Uni has not been the make money bag. It just hasn't. Neither is most of these things. So if we were in a world where Ripple was magically the thing, I'd be there. I'd so be there. But Ripple has not been the thing. Typically what you'll find is the thing usually has a pretty good narrative, like Bitcoin, or has some fundamental reason. Ripple against BTC, it's at lows, it's trying to turn around. It's in this huge multi-year, a decade-long range, right? Like, you could just say, you know what? We're at the low, baby. This isn't me, but I'm not a range trader. You could just say we're at the low. I'm gonna buy and keep buying until we're at the midpoint. I'm gonna stop buying at the midpoint and then start selling at the highs. That's the dream, right? Realistically, it's probably like here. So the midpoint is whatever this is. So you could just be a buyer down here, seller up here. You can even get a little more granular and say anything above here is where I'm selling. I don't know. That's it. There's no trend here. There hasn't been a trend here. There's never been a trend here. It has periods of time occasionally where it does well. That's it. That's it. CAS BTC. Sure. CAS BTC. It's above the daily. I'll give you that. It looks okay. Doesn't look amazing. It looks okay. It is ranging. I think the most bullish thing here, like all charts right now, is this, right? It's like, okay, if this is some sort of mega consolidation, I want to be here for the breakout. If this is you, this isn't me, but it would be up here. Stacks was similar. Stacks was very similar. If we dial this back to what, the 3-day? It looked like it wanted to do something, but then it never broke out of that resistance. So it's tough. Now Sol BTC is another story, because this to me looks like the strongest chart against Bitcoin. It looks ready to go against Bitcoin. Hold on. AIOZ, LNQ, we'll look at those. CZ is getting out of jail September 6th, right? Is that bullish for BNB? Might be. Might be. CME as in CME Legacy? I'll look at that, Nurk. I look forward to Nurk's lists that he combs for us every week. If your alt chart doesn't look like this against Bitcoin, probably says something, you know. Sol has been bullish against BTC for a year. I don't even own any Sol. I own next to nothing, okay? But, so I'm not even talking my bags here. It just looks good. Just looks good. AOZ. I mean, you know what I'm probably going to say? It needs to be above the cloud. It's got this, maybe? But it's early. It's early. Sure, Turk, I'll take a look at curve. What was the other one? LNQ. Is this... No, okay. Is this a chart? It's not for me. It's just chopping around at the lows. Nothing going on there. Desync. Oh, man. Does MEXC just have like 20,000 coins to trade? I don't like whatever this is trying to be, potentially. Anything above 26 I love, but until then I'd be careful. All right, curve. So, I don't own any smoking chicken fish. I don't own any trading sardines, unfortunately. Curve is a great example of like narrative, product market fit, DeFi, smart contracts. The platform works, it is great, but the coin has done nothing but go down. Like, it's just math. It's just math. This is a new all-time low for Curve over the past couple months. For me, there's nothing here that says, man, what a great buy. It's at the lows. We want to take this further. Do you think Harris getting elected is bullish for DeFi? I don't. But hey, maybe you do. Where's the channel thing? This is the channel. So it's at the bottom of the channel. It's below the cloud. The 3-day cloud has been bearish since January 2022. There's going to be a stream. I can see it now. There's going to be a stream in 2025 where every single alt, people are going to be just screaming alts at me. Every single alt's going to be like, yeah, bro, this one looks great, bro. We're just not there yet. We're just not there yet. All these look horrendous. What are we doing? They look so bad. They look so bad. ETC, not that anyone asked. Let's take a look. Just garbage, unfortunately. Garbage. Yeah, I looked at desync. It's flat. I don't know. I don't have anything to say. All right. Anything else before we get into legacy quickly? DXY. DXY. Ranging. Ideally, this goes lower. But again, if DXY goes lower, it's because we are bringing rates down. And if we are bringing rates down, then the carry trade unwinds more. And if the carry trade unwinds more, that may bring risk assets down. So in a vacuum, a weak dollar is great for risk assets. But at this current moment in time, that may not be the case if there's still a lot of the carry trade to be unwound. The current candlesticks are dragonfly into maybe inverted hammer. On the cloud, it's below the weekly, it's below the 3-day, below the 2-day, below the daily. It's broken down below its head and shoulders. I don't think we see a serious move on DXY until Powell speaks on the 23rd. My assumption is he comes out and says, we're going to cut rates in September. I assume he says something like that. And I assume that brings DXY lower, and then we see how much of the yen carry trade is left. I think that's as far as you can take it. The other thing to watch for would be unemployment. In the yellow, if we get another print of unemployment, even if Powell comes out and said in August, I should just look. When is the next unemployment print? I assume it's after the meeting, right? Unemployment data print. Where is this? I need a calendar. Charts? No. When is the next print? Does anybody know? Next US unemployment print. Schedule of releases. Here we go. September 6th. Okay, so September 6th is 2 weeks before the meeting, which is good. But it's after Jackson Hole. So even if Powell comes out in Jackson Hole and says we're not cutting in September, that may change after the unemployment print. Unemployment in the yellow down here. Yes, we've triggered the Somm rule. Claudia Somm herself has gone on every single podcast you can imagine, every single media mainstream thing she can get on, and has said she doesn't think this is a recessionary case currently because of the immigration numbers. Okay, whatever. That matters a lot less than what the market thinks is happening. So if we get an unemployment print September 6th for this month, that is getting closer to 5%, then it's likely means that we are headed towards potential recession, and the Fed has to take action. We also have the yield curve in the white uninverting. And historically, we get a recession shortly thereafter. So we still have to survive this. Is it different this time? It could be. Claudia Somm is saying it's different this time. Hey, it could be. But we'll see. We're living through it. Yeah, it really depends on the economic data. So DXY is kind of in no man's land. It's just still in the range. If for whatever reason DXY goes sub 100, Bitcoin should be at six figures by then, because we should see a massive breakout. That should mean devaluation of the dollar in a big way. The only reason we wouldn't be at 600 or six figures is if the yen carry trade unwinds further. Unwind finish is the question down here. I don't see a case for a stronger dollar based on fundamentals. I just don't. So that should also mean yields should keep coming down to some degree. This is the other thing to watch in August, or at the end of the month, 23rd. Does the forward guidance with the rates bring yields down in the back end, the belly, the front end? And what does that do for risk assets? Yeah, BQ, I remember that after the fact, but yes, TradingView does have an economic calendar that you can look at. So what does JPOW say? What is the market reaction? That's the key thing here. But I don't see any TA to suggest that rates should keep moving up, or that the DXY should keep moving up. UJ we talked about a little bit. It's bouncing. We want this to be bullish. We do not want we don't want runaway weakening of the yen, but we don't want runaway strengthening of the yen either. very much Goldilocks on the yen. What else we got? TLT we talked about. I still like the chart. I still think it looks fine. High yield junk debt looks okay as well. Looks fine. Leveraged treasuries, TYD, TMF. Certainly looks like we're closer to a turnaround than a reversal than a continuation on these. Trying to think what else we got here. I think that's it on the bond side. S&P on the weekly. I don't see a great case to do anything here other than continue mean reverting. So the cloud says 4,900 on S&P. That would be brutal and painful, and that would mean potentially sub 50 on BTC. So again, unfortunately, that could be in the cards here for the S&P. This is clearly a TKC clamp. In cases such as this, we get a mean reversion. The mean reversion would be 4,900. We also have to watch for this. Eventual head and shoulders with a move through the cloud. Like, I don't know. Like, let's say we do a bunch of nothing until November. Harris wins, the market gets angry, and crashes back to 4,600. Like, that's not impossible if I'm trying to think of a path for that. Or Trump. What if the market gets angry and prices in Trump tariffs and tax cuts and stuff that the market wouldn't like? I don't know. Not that the market doesn't like tax cuts, but I just don't see an argument to do anything on the S&P. Daily doesn't like it either. Daily Qs, same thing. There's nothing here. IWM, there's nothing here. DJI, nothing here. So indices broadly, there's really nothing. Mag 7 should look similar because the Mag 7 are the indices. NVIDIA has reached its bearish target. It fully closed the gap. Does that mean it's a strong buy? I don't think so. Even if this pumps 50% on earnings, there's not a great technical argument to do anything here on trend. Is it even back to the 200-day moving average is at 82. So for me, there's just nothing. There's a ton of volatility. If you're like a low time frame day trader, you're probably loving this, but the biggest moves, the best moves have been daily cloud breakouts since 2023. The cloud has not let you down. One move, two move, three moves, and now it's back in the cloud. So if this can get back above with all the things we like, it's a great trade. But here, it's nothing. It's just bouncing around. Nothing to do. SMCI, whew, this thing down 60% from the highs. Same story. The best trades have been above the cloud, above the cloud, above the cloud. It's far below the cloud. I got stopped out on this, thankfully, at 750. Because I was long into this triangle break, into the cloud break. The cloud usually is never wrong. I'll just say it. It's usually never wrong. Despite getting you in this trade here, it takes you out before things get loose to the downside. I don't see a trade here either on SMCI. Appel. Chop. Nothing there. Just turbo chop. A weekly Apple. I mean, what are we doing here with this? Just chop. Just turbo chop. Microsoft, back to the weekly Kijun. Daily, kind of angry looking. I think for most of the Mag 7, daily's going to be angry. Below the 200 or at the 200, below the cloud. Meta continues to hold up better than the pack. Doesn't mean I love it. I don't think anything here, to me, looks good. Google, Netflix. We don't have a Tesla situation where we have some sort of chart pattern that was building with a breakout. I mean, this went all the way back to the neckline. If you need a lesson on how to take profit, this is a perfect, like, print this out and put it behind you, in front of you, put it in the mirror on your bathroom. Like, this is a perfect example of, if you want to take a trade, take the trade. Don't assume it's just going to continue. Because I got people still telling me Tesla's going to 300. Okay, that's great. But there was a trade here that was obvious. Right here, the trade is just sideways chop. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. So a lot of this stuff just needs time. Lots of time. K-Web on the weekly. Also just chopping around. Intel. Intel still down significantly. Chart looks awful. Uber's bounced quite a bit. They had some good earnings, I think. Still, it's... What do you do here? Nothing. There's nothing to do. Yeah, January 6th. Look, if we can survive November 6th into the 7th and January 6th as a country, I think that'd be super bullish for markets. So let's hope for that. Any other legacy charts? Yeah, Intel as a business just has tons and tons of issues. Blake mentioning the CPU defects. Very much in trouble there. For sure. That is a yikes chart if I've ever seen one. Costco, we'll just keep going down my list here. Costco looks okay. I think the valuation, not that I'm a fundamental person, but if memory serves correctly, the valuation is a little stretched up here. That being said, the cloud likes this if we can maintain bullishness above 843. Pfizer, still above the daily cloud, above the 200 day. What does it look like on like the 3-day? Doesn't look super happy to be here. I still own a bunch of it. It's got like a 6% dividend. It's stupid. I will do Turk. Merck. I don't see anything, even in commodities. Like gold looks okay. It looks like Sol BTC a little bit, where it's like just chopping at the top of the range. It looks okay. Silver, no. Oil, no. Oil's been chopping for years at this point. Years. What is just? I don't know how people can trade this for a living, because the chop here is epic. Epic. XLE looks okay. It bounced at that diagonal. I don't know. It doesn't look amazing, but it is close to all-time highs up here. Looks okay. WPM I cut on Monday. I cut it Yeah, I think I cut it on Monday. It just couldn't hold on to the highs. So it was slightly above break even when I closed the trade, but could keep going. I don't know. It's just all of the commodities look terrible for the most part. Uranium especially. Man, what a huge drop. Huge drop. Copper is another one. Unfortunately, just couldn't hold on to those highs. Just gave it all back. Platinum palladium also looks like junk. So I don't really see any commodity that looks good other than gold, which looks okay. Miners, we can go through. The tough part here is fundamentally they're not making much money. So common sense just tells you trade Bitcoin because the miners are underwater, revenue's bad, fees are bad, hash price is bad. They shouldn't do well here other than just like being oversold. This is WGMI. It bounced from the bottom of the pitchfork level. Trend is, there's no trend here, right? It's just kind of chopping around. Most of these miners look like Marathon, look like Riot. Back to this narrative bag idea. If you've got a narrative and you think Mara's the one, don't let me stop you. But I would just be careful with sizing on that because this thing has gone nowhere for a long time. A long time. It's gone nowhere. Riot, same thing. Even worse than Marathon. Just doing nothing. So if two of the biggest miners are flat and down, I probably don't want to hold WGMI. I probably want to focus on individual names. CleanSpark, I liked. CleanSpark I'm still holding and shouldn't be. The biggest issue was it gapped through the stop loss. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to hold this, but I shouldn't be holding this. There's no reason to be holding this at this point. Below the cloud, below the pitchfork. Even if this bounces here, it doesn't look good below the 200-day. Doesn't look good. IREN also gave everything back, bottom of the range. Maybe if you're trading the range, you like it. So that's like the top four. If you don't like the top four charts, you're probably not going to like WGMI, which is basically the top four miners. And it's all the miners, but the top four holdings are the top four miners. Cypher bounced a ton today. It's just range bound, chop. Bitfarms bounced a ton. Range bound, chop. Nothing here looks like a setup to me. The best setup was CleanSpark, and that broke down. The second best setup was Bitfarms as like a head and shoulders idea, and that broke down. So unless Bitcoin bottomed, miners shouldn't do well. They just shouldn't. Difficulties rising, revenue falling. All of these just look terrible. Yeah, hash ribbons on the network are a signal for price. Hash ribbons are not a signal for publicly traded mining companies, which is all the more reason if we plot WGMI against BTC. I mean, this is the real chart to watch. If this isn't giving a clear signal, let's just go back to like the 2-day. For me, if this isn't giving a clear signal, if this doesn't have a chart pattern, if this isn't at the bottom or the top of the range or something, it's got to have some reason to buy it or to add. And I just don't see that. Now, what you could do is just say, you know what, I hear you, Josh. I don't care. SDIG, it's $3. I'm gonna buy some. Hive, it's $3. I'm gonna buy some. Bitfarms, it's $2. I'm gonna buy some. You could do that. Like, there's, that's fine. Wolf is down 50%. I'm gonna buy some. That's fine. It's just the trend is not on your side. That's all. You mean more in fundamentals? So the issue is because mining is a zero-sum game. If you're on this list of publicly traded miners and you're not growing your hash rate, you're just losing even more revenue to everybody else every week, every day, right? So for the network, it's great to see hash rate rising. For these miners, if they're not participating in that growth and their market share is declining, how are they going to make money? How are they going to make more money? Their slice of the pie is getting smaller. And we can even do, like, let's look at WGMI against MSTR. Does that tell us anything? Not really. It still kind of favors WGMI. What about WGMI against Sol? To me, the miners are basically altcoins, where they have these periods of bullishness, periods of bearishness. WGMI versus Sol has been turbo bearish, but this could be a bottoming period potentially. There will be a time when the miners do well. Just like gold. Hold on, let me pull this up. If we look at gold and what is the gold miner? GDX. It's the same idea. GDX is beta to gold, okay? The trick is being able to trade the bullishness while you're bullish and to ignore the miners when gold is bearish, when Bitcoin is bearish. But you have to be nimble enough to get in and out of that. GDX has outperformed gold in the past 6 months, right? But you have to take action to recognize that, hey, this is a bullish period, even a micro bullish period for gold or Bitcoin, whatever the case is. GDX clearly outperformed. You can see the amplification there. But if we zoom all the way out, the better buy and hold is never the beta. The beta is the worst buy and hold. The more we go out on this, the worse it looks. Gold versus GDX over the past decade is no contest. And WGMI against BTC, just as an example, is the same thing. So what does this tell you? It tells you you do not want to buy and hold the miners. Purple here is BTC. Since inception, BTC is positive 42%, miners negative 30% still. But if we zoom in, there are periods of time where the miners outperform. Periods of time. It's fleeting. We're talking, what, like 2 months at a time? Like 60 days. And that's with the bullishness in BTC. So if BTC is bullish for a year, there are increments of 60-day periods within that year where miners do well. And so you have to be able to play that correctly, you know? That's the tough part. Most people would just rather buy and hold BTC. Just forget about it. If you're not beating BTC, what's the point? And if you're like me and you think WGMI or miners are just altcoins, then let's look at it against Solana, and it's no contest. No contest. Almost at no period, miners outperformed over the past year. So do you want to be right or do you want to make money? That's what it comes down to. September Fed meeting after first Friday of September. Yeah, so the Fed meeting is 2 weeks after unemployment, but Jackson Hole on the 23rd of August is before unemployment. All right. A few more legacy charts somewhere around here. XOM. Someone asked for XBI. Biotech. Biotech. Didn't this have a inverted head and shoulders on it, or am I crazy? Am I thinking of something else? It kind of looks like IWM, doesn't it? Kind of looks like ARC. I remember being bearish. This was months ago. I was bearish like somewhere down here. Clearly incorrect hindsight, but this was the issue. This huge head and shoulders. But it broke up. It broke above 90 and okay, game on. It looks okay. It looks okay. But it looks like ARC a little bit. There's probably a lot of overlap between ARC and XBI, just because I know ARC likes the biotech stuff. XBI looks better than ARC to me. XOM is energy, right? Oh, Exxon, yeah. So I have XOM via XLE. You know, it looks okay. It looks like maybe some sort of, the cloud says it gives it its blessing on the high time frames here. Maybe some sort of something here. What's interesting is we just had a weekly oil print in the United States, highest production on record, like 13 point something million barrels, right? A week. So we are drilling, baby. We are drilling. Okay. We are drilling a lot. That's probably helping keep the oil price down. I don't know if that's helpful to XOM or not, but the chart looks good. Better than the indices. That's why I like XLE. It hasn't broken out yet. It's been in the range for a long time. Looks pretty good. Palantir. I get people asking me about this one every week. That is an insane candle on the weekly. Insane. What is that? 35%? I think every week I just say it's in this channel. It looks okay. I don't know. I don't really think you can use the cloud here. Kind of like for some of these Mag 7 names. Netflix is an example. Where is it at? Maybe the cloud helps you with like the micro moves, but more or less it's in like this huge channel. Netflix, right? If we like maximize this, you can add levels, diagonals, whatever. It's just huge up chop continuously. Palantir looks like that. So it looks good. For sure. A few more and we're out here. PCT, someone was asking Pure Cycle. Let's check the weekly. I don't know. Looks okay. Above the weekly. it would look better above some high time frame cloud. It's trying. It's trying. UNH, I think that's healthcare, right? Looks good. That's an all-time high, right? Up only, baby. Up only. What is the percent move on this? Let's go year to date. Year to date up 7, 5 year up 128. Yeah. It looks good. It kind of looks like Apple before the, well, it looks like Apple after the breakout, but similar, like just, it's kind of BTC like too, in that it's got this wedge link, similar chart pattern. Some sort of something, right? Just lots of chop, but broke out. Looks good. Looks good. CME, last one. CME Group from NERC. Lots of chop. Lots and lots of chop. Looks like a monthly head and shoulders to me, but right. If this breaks 220, then it's probably good, but I'd be careful here. You do not want to be on the wrong side of a monthly head and shoulders. So BTC looks like it survived to die another day for now. And we look good going into this weekly close. This was a huge move. I hope it's not Sailor. Pray to the old gods and the new that this is not just Sailor buying. And that's it. We'll see Sunday. Set up Sunday. Don't get chopped up. Give me a like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. And I'll see you guys in a few days. Take care.